This is a clip from the Canon podcast. To hear the full episode and get access to exclusive benefits, head over to patreon.com/thecanonpod and sign up for just £3 a month.
As you mentioned, Granit Xhaka is looking likely to leave Arsenal in the summer transfer window. Bayer Leverkusen is the club to the Bundesliga, and it could be a good move for him as a player. But for Arsenal, losing out a leader, experience, and a first-team starter who's been reliable for so long, especially for Mikel Arteta, how are we looking to replace Xhaka? And what does he even offer Arsenal that we are actually replacing, Alex?
Yeah, it's big news. It's big news as we've asked Mikel to be a lot more ruthless, and it looks like we're seeing that. I think for me, this is de facto confirmation that something is close. I don't... Bhavs, I can see your smile.
We'll get there.
I don't necessarily want to say what rhymes with nice might be coming, but, I'm saying that there's probably something on the horizon. I imagine the situation has occurred like this. Mikel Arteta has spoken to Xhaka last summer and said, look, I need you to stay for another year. He's triggered that extension. Was it either last summer or just before last summer? And he said, I need you to stay for another year. After that, you can go. I imagine Xhaka probably went, okay, fine. Yeah, I'll stay for another year. And has probably not fully thought, well, maybe I could stay, maybe I could not. I imagine he probably didn't make up his mind. I imagine there's word got round at Arsenal that a midfielder is close. There's something going on. And Granit Xhaka has made it very, very clear, I play or I go. Granit Xhaka is one of the only football players in the world that seemingly just doesn't sit on the bench. It's incredible. I don't know how he does it. But he doesn't not play. When he is at a football club, he plays. But that's the kind of character he is and the kind of leader he is. So I imagine this is, especially how quickly it's moved. The first report we had, I saw on Twitter, was from the 9th of May. We're now recording on the 16th of May. It looks like it's nearly done. This has moved very quickly. That tells me that this was something that we had in the in the ether. We went, right, yeah, click go on that process, start the talks, let's get that going. Looks like it's nearly done. So to me, it feels like a de facto confirmation. In terms of what we miss, look, we need to be very careful what we wish for. I see a lot of people saying, get rid of the midfield, get rid of Xhaka, Partey and Ødegaard and Saka and everyone at the same time, get them all out of my club, Kroenke needs to go kind of stuff, right? I know the feeling, but we need to calm down and we need to progressively overload. I think we need to be very careful about chucking 2/3 of the midfield that got us here out in the first window. I want to keep Partey around, and if it were up to me, I'd keep Xhaka and lose Sambi Lokonga and El Neni or something, and to get 2 more midfielders in. But Xhaka's not that kind of player, so that tells me what we need to know. But we need second ball retention that Xhaka gets. We need the progression that Xhaka gets when he plays behind the ball. We need the leadership qualities. There is a skill in his rotations in the final third where he can swap out for Zinchenko, allows Zinchenko to come in. We talk about how much Jesus comes in and out and Zinchenko comes in or whatever. All that's facilitated because Xhaka is doing their roles while they're off doing something else. So we need a very, very smart footballer. We're losing a lot with Granit Xhaka, and I'll finish with this. We're losing a very loyal servant to Arsenal Football Club, and honestly, I am going to miss him.
We're all going to miss him. I think he's earned the respect of the fans, the way he celebrates, the way he's turned up for us in so many massive games, 2 FA Cups as well to that. But, look, it's time to move to the future. It's time to be ruthless. His profile is, I think, maximised at Arsenal now. I don't think he gets much better now for what he is as a player. And I wish him the best going to the Bundesliga. But there is, smells something like a bit of rice, I think, coming from West Ham. He is also a good pro. He's also always available, thankfully. He's also, a decent... He can carry the ball, he can defend, he's a second ball, and he can do all the aspects. And I think, I know George loves eating rice, but do you like the idea of rice at the Emirates Stadium?
Yeah, I don't know if I've made it clear in the past. I like the boy. Listen, when you start to theorize about what you're losing with Granit Xhaka, I think the one thing I want to highlight with Declan Rice is the leadership quality. I really think it's a huge issue here. Because what you also need to replace with Granit Xhaka is that availability. Granit Xhaka plays 38 games a season, unwarranted. There was the weird injury he had, the one time, last season. But other than that, that boy is available consistently every 3 days. And Declan Rice is that. I think that's a huge part of our midfield that I think has let us down in the last 3 seasons that needs to be talked about. Availability of our star players. Declan Rice solves that. In terms of the player qualities, we kind of had a video that talked about it in terms of the profile, but you're basically getting an improvement on the defensive ability of, Granit Xhaka. But in terms of kind of what you might be losing, is maybe that offensive capability, because I think Declan Rice has a lot of the ceiling and potential for these things. But in terms of what Granit Xhaka was doing, he's got 14 goals and assists this season, in addition to a lot of the versatility that he offers off the ball in terms of the movement. So in terms of us understanding how that kind of fits in and immediately with some of the chemistry, that is going to be a question mark. Do I think Rice is capable? More than capable. I think he's going to shine. I think immediately that we will see whatever price we pay for him, which is going to be an Arsenal record, by the way. I think he's going to earn it in less than 6 months. He is an era-defining player. We've talked about that before. I just think that the one big thing that we might be losing with Granit Xhaka is that experience, as well as when we talk about the Champions League. It's a new level of pressure in terms of what these players are going to be accustomed to. And whether we like to admit it or not, I think pressure was a factor this season in us not getting our objectives. And the one thing I'm worried about is I think Declan Rice is going to be that leadership profile in a couple years. He's going to come in and immediately offer leadership. It's not like he's not a leader. He is that. He's the leader of West Ham. And he's going to be the future England captain. The one thing I'm worried about is that head, that composure, because I do think that the experienced players in the squad have lost their head at times this season. So when we're looking to recruit and we're selling one of the heads that I think has been composed, it does leave a question mark for me about how we supplement that in the future. But I'm beyond excited about the potential for a Rice in the team. And I think that he offers us a level of versatility both at center back as well that people don't want to admit. And, you know, the stuff that happens this season doesn't happen with Rice. That's unequivocal. And I think that's the excitement that a lot of people house, because whether or not there's an injury to a key player, Rice offers a level of comfort and versatility as a world-class player now and top 3 in his position now. And I think that is the exciting thing that Arsenal are finally doing. It's a message to the Premier League.
It is crazy though, because as you said, Rice actually came through as a centre back. That's his first few games there. So you can also maybe drop down in the build-up to play a bit more like a left-back side, or at least help that side anyway. So he could offer Arsenal so much. And I think the maddest thing is, it feels like it's soon going to become a reality. I can't quite believe it, because all these years of George giving us propaganda, and I was like, it's just not going to happen. I just forget about it. And then out of nowhere, we're here now. We're nearly there. Reports are saying that Arsenal are going to lodge a first offer of, I believe, £90 million, which is not far off a West Ham one. And that's a serious offer. That is Arsenal saying that this is our player. And I almost look at it like how Liverpool signed Virgil van Dijk. Mm-hmm. When they signed him at the time, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, are you overpaying for a player?" But Van Dijk was also Premier League proven, a very, very good player playing for a mid-table Premier League team, and it was very expensive. I believe it was £75 million, and Rice is going to be of that bracket, a record signing, and it is just a crazy thought that he actually soon might be an Arsenal player. And I love the fact that he actually wants to play for Arsenal as well. And it seems like, fingers crossed, touch wood at least, that we are getting there closer and closer, and hopefully we can be like a bit like Gabriel Jesus last season, where he just kind of was done, right at the start of the window, and it's a statement signing. But Alex, do you think he is the perfect Xhaka replacement?
It's like, no matter what conversation Arsenal fans are having, it will return to Rice. At some point, he will be mentioned.
Until he's in the red and white.
Look, yeah, I mean, he can do everything Xhaka does and more for us. I think really, we've spoken about his qualities, but I think something that this shows me, and this possibly links back to something we were talking about earlier as well. There's two sources of noise at the moment. One is the media, who we have to remember have only a financial imperative in this, even if it's unconscious. So the most interesting version, and by interesting I mean profitable version, of their narrative of Arsenal is Arsenal are done, this is their one chance at the title, because it gets clicks, it gets engagement. That's noise, ignore that. From the fans' perspective, without getting too going too deep, there's something called sublimation, which is basically where you, in psychology, where you take negative emotions and you channel it through something positive or socially acceptable. So football is that. So a lot of times people you see are very, very frustrated about football, and you think, calm down, but really something's actually going on somewhere else, and football's an acceptable place to put that. That's where that noise is. No sane person is actually really angry. The club, when we look through that noise, are very clear. And this is what's exciting about the Rice move, is that what are the things that we've been talking about? Forget the on-pitch profiles that we've spoken about. We've spoken about we need a superstar in this team. We need leadership in this team. We need the next level in this team. We need to break our transfer record. What's the first thing? 16th of May, they're doing. So they're not stupid. We can sit here as fans and think they don't have the same conversations as us. They do. they have the same conversations as us in very different terms, but they will be thinking, here's the things that we need. And I think to return to something George said earlier, that thing that Arteta said in the press conference, and perhaps we should talk about it on here, is so revealing and so interesting and so amazing that you can have a Premier League coach sit there and go, look, here's the things where we can be better, man-for-man situations, game management, and go through an itemized list of what he needs, and then go look in the market and go, that's what I want. That's where you make the improvements. So it's about that level. The excitement for me, yes, of course, is around the player, but it's also around how ruthless and how laser focused we are with getting the right person in. That's exciting, because it tells me there's the same level of focus in other positions. Thanks for checking out the Cannon Podcast. To get full episodes and access to exclusive benefits, head over to patreon.com/thecannonpod and sign up for just £3 a month.